So tell us a little bit about how you bought. So you bought these duplexes. You said side-by-side duplexes. I love that I hope the listeners take away from this. You read the book and you just implemented what they told you to do. And I think that that's so cool because so many people read it and they try to like mess with it, and you just said, okay, if he said he's going to do it, I'm going to do it here. How did you buy those first properties? And tell us a little bit about how you scaled your real estate portfolio from that first duplex.
So I keep saying to everybody, the most painful deal, it's always the first one. It's the most difficult one. So I started reading that book in December 2019, and it took me 8 months to get my first property, that duplex in Alabama. And through that, I passed several steps. I was thinking constantly that I don't have much time to dedicate to real estate, so I'm going to the fastest route. So I was contacting turnkey properties management, and they were providing a product I didn't like. Then I moved to Roofstock, and that's where I found my first property.
What is Roofstock?
Roofstock is a marketplace for you and me to place our own investing properties on the market without having a realtor in the middle, meaning that you can reach out to sellers that want to sell their own property with tenants in place, and you can reach out to them and you can lowball everybody, and you will get an answer.
Wow. I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's very nice, and they have a very good tooling that you can use.
Is it nationwide or is it only for specific cities? And it's nationwide.
Okay. Although a tip, if you don't know the market that you want to invest, go check Roofstock and see where the biggest portfolio they have, and those are the good markets to go. So those are cash flow markets.
So you started looking at Roofstock. You started buying these properties. Did you just buy them traditionally, or how did you end up purchasing them?
So the first one was conventional. I didn't know much about real estate. Then I joined a mastermind, and that is one of my 3 pillars that I was able to scale as I did, because in the end, in my first year, I was able to acquire 61 units.
Wow! In your first year?
In my first year. So after I signed that duplex in Alabama, from that point in time, it took me 1 year to get 61 doors. Yes.
That is impressive. Okay, let's dive into that.
It was in steroids for sure. So the first pillar is networking. So I advise everybody to find your niche, find your team, and hook to them. And for sure, you will be surrounded by people that know where you should go and look for guidance. And that's where I found in my mastermind at the time. I learned a lot. I was able to grow as an investor, which I think is very important. And then I found my second pillar, which is partnerships. And here, since I was out of state investor, I live in Dallas, but I was investing in markets that are cash flowing better than here. So I need someone that was going to be my boots on the ground. And I found that person there in my mastermind. So that's the second pillar that I will keep saying to people. If you want to scale, you need to partner. So don't want to be doing everything by yourself. You need to partner in order to be able to scale it.
Before you give us your third pillar, I want to ask 2 questions about that. What have you found, if a new investor is listening to this right now, what have you found are the best places? Because there's millions of places to network. You can go to Facebook groups, you can go to meetup groups on, meetup.com or whatever. So what have you found to be the most profitable, just ways to network with other investors? Where should someone go if they want to kind of just cut through the BS and go right to where they can make deals? What would you suggest to them?
I would say first go to local REIs, so where you can see real estate meetups. That's where you meet people that know where and know exactly the market that you are, if you want to invest locally, right? If you want to go out of state, then you need to find a broader team, a broader mastermind that you are able to hook up, right? But I would say that majority of the information of real estate, it's already available. It's public. You have a bunch of YouTube videos out there that explains A to B on how to become a real estate investor. I just feel that joining a mastermind will get you to the next level. It will bring you more close relationships, someone that you can ask specifically your problems and have a quick answer. So that's like a mentor, right? And third, you can find partners there very easily. So I would always recommend to find a similar ecosystem.
Yeah, and I think to add on to that, I think that's so gold. I hope people are really listening to that. You know, when you go to a mastermind, you also have a certain level of seriousness, right? That people event. Anybody can show up to a free event, but when someone actually puts money down, it's like, hey, there's some commitment. It doesn't mean they're a perfect partner yet, but it does mean that you both have kind of leveled up your commitment. You know, there's someone that's really committed to learning real estate or co-living or whatever it is, becoming financially free, whatever the mastermind's actually about. So I love that. My second question for you was just going to be, you know, you've really used partnerships very well. And I wanted to ask you if there's any tips or tricks or just principles that you've used to vet your partners, you know, because everybody, like, partnerships, in my experience, can be one of two things. They can be amazing, and it's like, oh my gosh, how did I ever run my business without this person? And I've been in partnerships where I'm like, oh my gosh, get me out of this partnership as fast as possible. So how do you think about partnerships, and what advice would you have for someone looking to partner with somebody in the right way and to vet their potential partners better?
So it's like a wedding, right? I would say you need to date a little bit before you sign the contract, before you get married, right? So do small projects with them before you commit. That's the first point. The second one, bring the difficult questions up front. I know that we are aligning. I know that we have somehow the same goals, but what happens if something wrongs, right? What happens if you don't want to work anymore on the partnership? What happens if one of us died? How can we handle that? What happens if you misbehave and you're not doing your role, right? Those questions need to be asked up front, so you know what is coming, right? And perfectly, if you can put them in a operating agreement, that would be even better, because in the end, if the partnership goes offside, ultimately that's the paper that's going to manage the relationship up forward. So
Right.
be careful with that.
Everything starts with trust, but then if that trust disappears for whatever reason, it's going to fall back to that piece of paper.
Yeah, I mean, people have different lives, right? And there are outside environments that can really influence the partnership, right? And that's one point. The second one is money changes people, unfortunately, and sometimes people change, can get greedy, and different goals appear. So be careful with that as well.
Well said. So networking is one of your pillars to scaling fast. Partnerships is another one of your pillars to scaling fast. What's that third pillar, and how did that help you scale?
The one I love it more, creative financing. So during that first year, from 0 to 61 units, I was buying every month new properties, always from a long-term rental perspective. I was not flipping, I was not reselling, wholesaling, no, but buying them to hold them. And then I realized, well, my money is about to end. What can I do here? And that's when I learned about seller finance, and I just love it. It's my favorite strategy, because the way I see it, it's a win-win for both parties, from the seller and from the buyer perspective. And that's how you need to play when you're trying to get a seller finance deal. In this case, so for those that don't know, seller finance is when the seller becomes your bank. So therefore, you don't need to go to get the approval from the bank. You don't need to run your numbers in terms of if you're allowed, your DTI can accept that. No, it's just to build the trust between you and the seller, and that's the most important thing to make sure that the deal goes on. So when I discover seller finance, whenever I see a deal, I always ask, hey, is this open for seller finance? And then most probably the person doesn't understand that what it is, and then I explain, and I keep trying to put myself in the seller's shoes to see how can I leverage the seller finance strategy to help him as well, right? For example, we had a couple that was willing to sell their property, and they were saying, well, we want to move to Florida. I said, okay, so how much do you need for down payment for that house in Florida? Oh, just 20K. Okay, so I can bring you that 20K, and after that you will be getting a rent type of income, so you don't you don't stop receiving money as you were doing up to now, but instead of you relying on the tenants to pay you, I will be the one that will secure your monthly payment, right? And that really resonates with them because they didn't want to pay much in taxes, so and they wanted that income steady. And then they bring another question is, okay, so what happened if for some reason we pass out, and I told them, well, in that case the debt goes to your family, right? So you don't need to worry about that. I said, okay, so we are good with that. Let's move forward. But from my experience, the biggest motivations for seller be willing to accept seller finance is really the tax benefits around that.